into a closed session for the purpose of discussing the acquisition or disposition of publicly held real property pursuant to 2.2-3711A3 of the Code of Virginia.
So moved.
Motion made by Councilman Smith. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Pack. Madam Clerk, would you call the question, please?
Mr. Brooks?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Pack?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Butler?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Gibbs?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Butler? Did I already call you?
Did I say yes on my name?
We can do it again.
Yes.
Mr. Brooks?
Yes again.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Pack?
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Mayor Butler?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Gibbs?
Yes.
Mayor Bowman?
Yes, yes. We'll be in closed session for a short period of time. Be right back. Amy, ready? I'd like to reconvene the June 24th, 2024 Smithfield Town Council Committee meeting to order. Mr. Riddick.
Mr. Mayor and members of council, we need a motion that during the closed session, there's only a discussion of the acquisition and disposition of publicly held real property pursuant to 2.2-3711A3 of the Code of Virginia.
So moved.
Motion made by Councilman Smith. Is there a second? Second. Second by Councilman Pack. Further discussion? Madam Clerk, call the question, please.
Mr. Pack?
Yes.
Mr. Gibbs?
Yes.
Mr. Smith? Mr. Brooks?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Butler?
Yes.
Mayor Bowman?
Yes. The next item on the agenda is the Public Safety Committee. Councilman Brooks, I don't know if you got the email from the chief of the rescue squad. He is tied up this afternoon as well. So I think all you have on your committee, other than what you may, or your committee may decide to bring up, would be the operational update from the police department.
Okay, I'm going to open it up with, starting off with Chief Howe.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of council. In the form of operational updates, you all have our May activity report. If you have any questions concerning the May activity report, I'd be more than happy to attempt to answer your questions there. In the form of operational updates, as far as our staffing, as of July 15th, our last applicant will come on board. We will be fully staffed. However, we will be fully staffed. We are accepting applications for the 24th position that will take effect as of July 1. Thus far, we've already received a couple of applications from certified applicants. We are looking internally to promote another investigator, and so we are moving forward as, with anticipation of that additional position coming on board. So we are excited in reference to that. Also, in the form of updates, Lieutenant Woolley, who is our lead investigator, will be on July 6th reporting to the FBI National Academy in Quantico, Virginia. He's excited, he's prepared to go, and so we are happy to see him to attend the academy. One other thing that I would like to share is that recently, from some of the meetings that we had with ABC, the ABC Commission, with retail and law enforcement, some of our crime prevention efforts have benefited in assisting the county in making arrests. Recently, the county had a person to enter their Carrollton store, committed a larceny, left, headed to the town, and Sergeant McGow had met with the Carrollton ABC store, made some recommendations, and as a result of some of those crime prevention recommendations, from that last incident, an arrest was made. So we were able to assist the county in making an arrest. Also, with the Hampton Roads Chiefs, some of the steps that we had taken with our local store, we mentioned it to the Hampton Roads Chiefs, and so some of the other jurisdictions that are having issues, they are looking to invite the ABC Commission back to the Hampton Roads Chiefs meeting and try to address some of the issues that they're having in some of the other local jurisdictions. So I just wanted to share with you some of the efforts that we have taken place, that we have taken, some of the steps we have taken here in Smithfield, a bit of benefiting other agencies and maybe the Hampton Roads area as a whole. And the last update, as we are approaching the fireworks, just want to let members of council know that immediately after the fireworks, we plan to have a traffic pattern in place where we will reverse the traffic on the Smithfield Station Bridge for approximately 1 hour to try to alleviate congestion in the area of Smithfield Station and the downtown corridor. Some of the efforts that we have, some of the steps that we have taken is to contact the VDOT. We're going to adjust the light signal at Main and 258 there. We will have Virginia State Police on scene to assist us, and as well as 2 county deputies. We have also shared this information with tourism, and we also putting it on our Facebook so that the community would be aware as they attend the festivities. And that concludes any operational updates that I may have. Be more than happy to answer any questions from council.
Thank you, Chief. Is there any questions from council?
Chair?
Yes.
Chief?
Yes, sir.
Let's talk fireworks just for a second. This is much for my information and sharing with my staff. So Fireworks are scheduled for roughly 9:30, is
Yes,
that
sir.
correct? And so when the fireworks are ignited,
Yes.
is that what's going to trigger the traffic reversal?
No, sir. Immediately after, once people are beginning to leave,
Okay, so 9:45, 10
Yes, sir.
o'clock, time frame, okay. And you're only going to have that reversal in place for roughly an hour?
yes, sir,
Okay,
or less.
or less?
Yes, sir.
Gotcha.
And one of the things also that we plan is not to have any pedestrian traffic stopping on the bridge. We will not stop them from walking across, but we will not allow them to stop on the bridge for
Yes.
fear that they will enter the
Works,
construction
yes,
area.
sir. Yeah, so that was my second question, is there's no pedestrian viewing area
No, sir.
from the bridge this year? Maybe next July we'll be close to having something. That's very wishful thinking. Okay, very good, thank you, sir. That's the two questions I had.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Thank you, Chief, appreciate it.
Thank you all.
I do have a general question I've been working with Sergeant McGow, he's with the crime prevention team, and they've started heavily working on National Night Out. So who do I work with, or who do I get with, I guess there's a resolution that is usually presented that night? Chief, I don't know if you know that, but there's a resolution or somebody?
Yes.
That was
Leslie
Leslie?
does it,
I'll get
sign
with
it,
you.
and-
Okay, it'll be October timeframe, so, okay, I'll start working with you then. Any other questions? That's it, I'll close public safety. Thanks again,
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Next is Finance Committee members, Councilman Pat Smith and Vice Mayor Butler. Councilman Pat.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, thank you. We'll start off with our May financial statements. Ms. Ross?
Thank you, hopefully you can hear me out. It's down there, so. I'll just talk real loud.
Hang tight.
Thank you. So revenue collected as of the end of May, $8,544,344. So we deal real estate, and out of the real estate bill, there were 7,267 bills sent out for a total of $2,639,191.48. Out of all that collected to date, and that is including June, we've collected 5,784 payments for a total of $2,255,736. Right now, there's an outstanding balance of about $398,000, or a little bit more. And you'll have your footnotes with all of that, so won't run through that. But if you look at revenue to expenditures, we are pretty much neck and neck, and we're gonna roll into the end of the year at the end of this month, or gosh, very, very, very soon. So, we'll keep you updated on that. Outstanding debt right now is $4,493,545. We make payments every month on the line, and the next payment will be at the end of this month for $18,860. We don't owe the larger ones until October the 1st. Let's see. I think that's all on that. If we want to go ahead and move to cash balance.
Yes, ma'am, please.
Okay. So you'll have your cash balance report in front of you, and for a total, if I add up all of the money that we have, including all of our bank accounts, right now, including the sweep and the investment one that we have, and including the $1 million from Luder, that's $26,892,801. We have right now in the sweep, we've added more to it, but this is as of the end of May, $10,638,053.34. And our rate that we're getting right now at the bank is paying a little bit better than the 90-day T-bill by 32.32%. Let me see. And so if you take a look at this right here, it also includes the VML or VIP investments that we have. Let's see. And I think that's all on that part. Quickly, let's see. All right, so we want to talk about the banking services now?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Great. We have looked at 3 banks, and we've chosen 2 to come back and do presentations. Councilman Pack will participate in the meeting tomorrow, but we have Town Bank that'll be in, and we have the second bank coming in on Wednesday. We just want to get some clarification on a couple of items that we were looking at. So this particular with service, that's a big issue that we have with our current bank, and we want to make sure that we're not going to have that issue again.
Who is the second bank?
Old Point.
Okay.
Yeah. And we've been impressed with their services, but their closest branch is in Carrollton. And we do have to take cash to the bank, so we didn't want to make that any more cumbersome than it already is.
Well, was the third bank closer, or?
They were, they're across the street, BSB, but we don't know how long they'll be across the street. And we are keeping them on our radar. We may choose to put some investments with them, and we may split up some of the banking services.
Well, unless we've got verifiable information of where they would be or wouldn't be, in all due respect,
That was not a predominant factor why they didn't move forward.
No.
okay. Well, I'm just a little concerned if there are 3 banks, how much time is it gonna take? I mean, I'm not getting into your business, don't wanna get into things that maybe but if we have 3 banks, I don't know what the harm is, especially if they're local, but at the same time, I have not been getting into the weeds as far as that's concerned. I just want to make sure that everybody's getting a fair shot, and I hope that's all considered. Okay?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions here? Seeing none, hearing none, we'll move on to our updated personnel manual with our wellness reimbursement policy. Ms. Rogers?
Alrighty, so good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and Council. This policy was drafted to place parameters around a wellness membership reimbursement for employees. The policy allows for up to $10 per month to be reimbursed for eligible wellness membership fees. Eligible items include memberships at fitness centers of the employee's choice, digital app or fitness memberships, for example, like Peloton, in case instead of going to, a brick and mortar, they have a Peloton, and then also memberships for mental health programs. So that just kind of put some parameters around the up to $10 per month reimbursement.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
By doing that, I know that certain health insurance companies give benefit and monetary benefit if we do such a thing as far as a reduction in the rates as far as premiums are concerned. If we were to do this, I'm not saying that that's the rationale behind it, but I always like to dig the best I possibly can. Is there any, or has there been any thought given or discovery done to see if our insurance company will give us any type of a break, considering the fact that we're going to now provide some money for a wellness program?
Not at this point. It would be something we would probably have to do during the next time renewal, but it's something that we could definitely look into for probably next renewal time.
Well, I think Ms. Ross would agree, and we all would, that any time we can get a couple dollars back or something, it might be worth it. I mean, maybe not, but it doesn't hurt to ask.
Yes, sir.
That's my only point. Thank you.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any other questions with this wellness reimbursement policy? Hearing none, we'll send this one to council for consideration. We have 2 invoices that exceed $20,000, which require council authorization. They're both to Blair Brothers. The first is a Pagan Road Pipe Project, $106,034, and the second is to various paving projects around the town, $435,400. Michael, are these, obviously they're recommended for approval, but are these projects lead to our satisfaction?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions on these invoices? Yes, sir, Mr.
I
Collins.
have one, sir. On one of the first invoice with Blair, there's a line item for contingency of 15%. Was that allocated to work items, or is it just I've just never seen an open-ended item like that on an invoice?
They are generally that way. Wayne oversees these contracts, and he reviewed them and submitted it.
So that money was spent on something and not just
Yes,
a
sir.
contingency?
Yes, sir.
Would you you like further
And I will-
clarification on
I
that?
will ask to see if we can get further breakdown
Oh,
on
if you could,
exactly what
yes,
was spent
awesome.
for.
If you could, you can give me
We can
just
do that.
what it was done, yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Leslie, let's send these to council for consideration of their consent agenda with the exception of the Pagan Road Pipe project. So we're looking for a little further clarification on that.
We can do it. Would you like that under the action section?
Action section, yes, sir,
Yes.
please. Okay. Anything else to come before finance?
I have a question, Randy, and I don't know if it falls under finance. Were we going to have a discussion around the,
That was mine as well, Ms.
Oh, okay.
Ms. Butler. Go right ahead.
pardon me?
Go right ahead with your question.
Well, I was wondering if we were going to have a discussion in this meeting today, or which committee it falls under, to discuss the donation that we were just given.
Mr. Mayor, that's you, buddy.
Well, I think what we're doing is we are waiting something specifically in writing that outlines or lays out in writing what the requests are from the donor as part of the donation. As you well know, I provided some information to you, and that was provided to me verbally. I think we would be in a better position if we receive in writing from the donor or his designated agent exactly what council needs to be considering as far as what they're asking for in lieu of what they're going to provide us in totality as far as that money's distributed. So I think what we need to do is wait until that document is received.
Oh, and I agree with that, but I didn't realize that we were waiting on anything.
Yeah, we don't, that has not been, and I think considering everything, I would rather have a document in writing than I would rely on what I documented personally.
I also like to see, before we make a decision, even after getting it back in writing, I like to see from us, if the donor is requiring us to match some funds, well, up to $6 million, I like to see what capital improvement projects that we would also be engaging in.
Yes, ma'am. As you recall, my comment at the last meeting was, this is the townspeople's money, not Steve Bowman's money, and that's exactly what I was referring to.
Anything else on that, Ms. Butler?
I think that answered my questions. I didn't realize that we were waiting for something
did
in
not either.
writing for the donor.
Yeah. So we're waiting on something in writing of the donor, and you've requested that what the town's capital improvement plan is, which is, part of it's right here, so.
And
Yes,
that
sir.
includes potential costs for the two items on the Ford list of the entryway and the sign and the sidewalk, all that.
I expect everything to be laid out to our satisfaction where you can make a cogent discussion, and if it's not at that juncture, we can go back and ask until it is clarified and we know exactly what the terms of, on both sides of what that donation is.
Mr. Mayor, do we have a time frame for that?
I'm sorry?
Do we have a time frame?
Not at this present time, but I would say sooner than later, I would think. I don't have any inside information other than the fact that, that document should be forthcoming.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Riddick.
the newspaper has inquired about the legal authority to do this. I sent them the code section out of the state code. Municipalities may accept gifts that are related to their core functions, which this potentially could be. And they asked whether or not there is any time limit, and there's not. You haven't accepted it yet, and you have all the time you need to make a decision to do so. So there's not any clock ticking or anything like that.
Yeah, I think that's a good point to make, and I'm not going to belabor it, but I think people need to remember this money was not given to Steve Bowman or transacted by Steve Bowman, and Ms. Ross can attest to that. What was requested of me were two things, a routing number and account number, and then a donation was made to the town of Smithfield. I think it's very important that everybody completely understands that, and I'm not going to go any further into it at this juncture, unless you have a correction or anything else.
No, and you have all the time you need to make a decision as to whether you want to accept it or not, according to whatever the terms are, and apparently those are going to be forthcoming in writing, so.
And Mr. Riddick,
Yeah.
The money is not ours until we formally accept
No,
it,
it's
correct?
it's in the town's account. If the man wants the money back tomorrow, it can be sent back because y'all haven't accepted it.
How is an acceptance created?
You
In
form-
written
you-
documentation or
Well,
verbal
No,
documentation?
no. It would be by
Be a
action of the
motion.
town council. You'd have to, in a formal meeting, you'd have to.
We
take-
vote.
Yeah, you'd vote to
And we
accept it.
send him something in writing?
Right.
Oh, okay.
Everybody who makes a gift wants a receipt because there are tax ramifications to always tax ramifications to gifts.
Well, and that was
Yeah.
my first thought.
Yeah.
But it was nothing in writing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Anything else come for Finance Committee today?
I have one, Randy.
Yes, sir.
Talking about, Mr. Collins' question, that 15% contingency. What I used to see was fuel and other little small things, and I guess they've all come together now. As a percentage, used to be a fuel rate surcharge, and then other things that came along with that.
I just never seen it listed under as contingency. That to me is just open-ended.
Yeah, well, it is, but at the same time, they're letting you know there's gonna be something happening.
But this is a final payment.
Yes.
Like
Yeah,
I said,
so-
I'll have them give
Yeah.
us a breakdown.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah,
In-
What
in-
constitutes
In a
that?
proposal sense,
Yeah,
but
it's
in
just,
a
it's
final
just
payment,
letting
I
them-
wanna see the
it's giving them
breakdown.
the opportunity not to have to lose money on rides.
No, I agree. In a proposal state, not in a final payment state, yeah.
So you saying Councilman Collins, moving forward, you would like to see an itemized list of
Yeah, he's gonna,
the
yes.
breakdown?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll get one.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Anything else for Finance? We can do this. We're still open.
Okay, Parks Recreation Committee, Councilman Gibbs, Vice Mayor Butler, and Councilman Brooks.
So I'm Miss Amy today. So Windsor Castle Park Bridge renovations on the fishing pier and the dog park will start on July the 8th. The kayak kiosk is doing well. There's 4 additional kayaks that are available. And the foundation is nearly completed on the Windsor Castle Park Master Plan for the park amenities. Any questions?
The master plan for Windsor Castle Park or Manor House?
For
The amenities.
the amenities.
For
park.
Windsor Castle Park?
Right,
Yes.
the foundation is undertaking that work.
Oh, okay.
Any more questions? Concludes my committee report.
Okay, the next is Public Buildings Welfare. Chairman, Vice Mayor Butler, Councilman Collins, and Councilman Pat.
The first thing on the agenda is request to purchase property. Michael?
Yes, ma'am. I was approached by Mr. Milton Cook. He provided the plat that was in your packet. He's interested in purchasing a portion of a town-owned property. It's where we have a pump station currently located. The piece that he's interested in is outside of our fence line. I touched base with our public works staff, and they had no reservations with disposition of anything outside of the fence line. Any expansion plans they may have for that pump station can be contained inside the existing fence. So I told Mr. Cook I would bring this to council to see if there was interest in pursuing this. He was unable to attend this evening, and he is aware that if this is something council wants to pursue, he will then incur the cost of having the survey and all the appropriate paperwork done to pursue it. So again, we have not talked, dollars, any of that yet. It was just an initial ask to see if council was interested in pursuing it further. You'll have to-
Small company
Michael?
question.
Mike?
Yes.
We got an acreage on this spot?
It is tiny.
Okay.
It was in the .1, it was real
We
small.
still have access to the,
Yes, sir, we'd have full access to our facility. This is just a little, like, triangle-shaped piece that goes around the curve on Crescent Drive, and it would allow him some additional frontage along property he owns. That's why he's interested in the purchase. And again, our staff felt comfortable that everything we would need to do in the future, we have sufficient land inside the existing fence line to do that. So if there's a consensus to at least pursue it, we'll move forward with that, but I didn't want to go any further unless council didn't have any issues with it.
Any more questions or discussions?
we've done this before several times with other, we have pieces like this all over the town, and very often the town, the area that we fence is far smaller than what we own, and so we've done it over in, I can't remember, somewhere over in Moonfield, I think, but it's happened several times. It's not uncommon.
All right, so council would have to make an official vote once we go through the process to actually complete the disposition of the property, but we will start those initial paperwork that needs to be done.
Chairman, I do have a question. Michael, if you look at the attachments, one, there's a drawing and it's got a yellow,
That was my very crude estimation.
well, it
of where
works,
that
I
fence line
understand
is.
that. But in relation to that part, where is Dr. Cook's property?
The parcel on the back side of that so that parcel, our little piece sits between Crescent Drive and his property that is on the back side.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay. All right. Well, that's all I have on that.
So this won't go to town council meeting next week. This will be
No, ma'am.
a further discussion.
Right, it would
Oh,
be
okay.
back to committees potentially next month for forwarding on to the August council meeting.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
thanks, Michael.
Yes, ma'am.
Number 2, accept the extension of Clay Street. Tammy, I'm sorry, I thought that was Michael too.
I'm sorry. Good afternoon. Yes, this is to accept the Clay Street extended into our town maintenance system. We have gone through the final walkthrough last Tuesday and identified just a couple items that the developer needed to fix, and we're ready to go ahead and move forward. And so this is formally for town council just to accept Clay Street extended into the town maintenance system.
Any discussion?
Just so I know what we're talking about, this is the, at Clay and James where the development, where the looters that were gonna do it previously that maybe is on hold or not, but that's that cut-through road that we asked for? Okay, thank you.
Personally, I'm excited about this. I'm sure that the residents on Clay Street appreciates it as well.
I would think
So
so.
we will move this to town council meeting for consideration.
Thank you.
Number,
I was just saying, and there's a process, they had to put up a bond.
Yes,
They
I'm
put-
sorry,
They
yes.
have to put up a maintenance bond, and then this by accepting it, it adds it to the qualified lane miles that the town gets reimbursed for. That's why,
is that the state?
yeah,
Question, does the old Clay Street,
just the new.
my question is, does old Clay Street meet state specifications?
I believe that's already in the state system.
It's all right.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. And number 3, town council's vision document.
Yes, ma'am. We had attempted to have a work session on it, and for various reasons, that didn't happen. So I decided to take this opportunity to put the document in front of council. What you have is the draft document the town council created back in February of '23. The council at the time spent 2 days in a retreat and came up with this document, and then it was wordsmithed a little more beyond that, but it was never formally adopted. So in your packet, you have the vision statement that was created, as well as the priorities that council created to support this vision document. And I went through and just real quickly, the things that are highlighted in yellow, we're already underway with, and the ones that are in red, we've already done. So some of these things have already taken place, some of it has not moved forward. So wanted to give an opportunity for council to have a discussion on the draft document, if there's major heartburns, if there's only minor tweaking. Just wanted to see if there was a sentiment around this document and how much time needed to be spent on it, to have it in a place where council would feel comfortable adopting it. And then we'll have to go back and revisit our strategic priorities for implementation of this. And then staff had already created a work plan on how we go and implement it that we'll have to go back and revise as well. So wanted to put this in front of council for discussion so we kind of know a direction on what council's thoughts were on the draft document, whether you think it's in a state to make it go forward, whether you want to spend some more time wordsmithing, just get general input. We've got
Any
two.
discussion?
Yeah,
Jeff?
I don't want to speak for other council members, but previous council, which included everybody except for Councilman Gibbs and Collins, worked on this pretty diligently. And at the very end of that exhausting couple of days, I was very confident that we had put together a pretty good document. Now, I know those fellows may not have had time to kind of review it, but I'm content with where it is right now, even though we're a year and a half in as well. Just my comments.
I have worked, I talked to Michael about this quite a long time ago, reviewed it quite a few times. I would only have happy to glad changes. I would have no substantive type change. I think it's a well-written document too. I don't think it would be in my position to say that the time you guys spent was wasted and I have better ideas to put here, because there are none. I have none to present to it, so I actually like it as written too.
I will suggest that we would move forward with adopting this, and about a year from now, when there's a new town council with a little bit of time under their belt, that town council at that point goes back and reviews it one more time and says, hey, where are we? Because I'm looking at a couple things in here that were great ideas in 23, but interestingly, I was with the director of Isle of Wight County's information technology over the weekend, and he said that by 2025, everybody in Isle of Wight County will have access to broadband high-speed internet based on the grants they have. And economic growth, number 3, work with the county to develop broadband and cellular strategies to enhance service. So some of these goals, like Michael said, are already underway, and we're shortly after these, but I mean, I think that's really big news. So I think that as some of these things get completed, we add to the list. But we have to have some place to start. And we've already gotten some of these started and completed without this actually being our goal. So I think this is a good place to start. But when this, after we go through re-election in November and figure out who's going to be our council for the next couple of years, the council at that time revisits this maybe next summer, says, hey, we're here. We've done this for 6 or 8 months. We kind of got an idea and feel of how it's going, and give a chance to, either scrap this all together if that's what they wish to do, or add to it. So that would be my suggestion.
I think we ought to put Councilman Pack as an ad hoc advisor when those meetings are held.
I see that, idea.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity, Mr. Mayor.
And you're 100% right. We should be revisiting every time there's any change in leadership. We should take a look at it again. All right. What I will do is I will put the document on the agenda for the July meeting. It's probably more likely we have to revamp some of the priorities and the order they're in, but we will put that on the agenda for adoption, and then I'll convene staff again to look at our work plan that we had created. Once we get that finalized, then I'll come back to council for endorsement, and I use endorsement versus adoption because if we have to change things on it, then we can go change it as long as it keeps the same trajectory, whereas if it's adopted, then we have to go through the process all over. So we'll put that back together, present it to council, and move forward. I appreciate it. Okay.
My only comment about it is, Michael, I want to thank you because I was kind of thinking that we had wasted our time. The fact that, some of the things, strategies that we have listed that you've gone in to say we're currently working on or we've already done. And I was hoping that we would do that on an annual basis. Based on what this strategic priority says, it's good for 3 years.
Yes.
So it will be a good opportunity to go back to the drawing board. But it'll also be nice to see how our capital improvement projects fit into this priority plan as well.
Yes, ma'am. And once this has been adopted, this should really drive everything that we do. And so we should be able to tie everything we're doing to supporting something in this plan. And so, I mean, that's really the only reason we didn't go gung-ho on all these other things, is because if the plan was gonna change, and when now being adopted, but now we will go forward, and as much as we can tie things we're doing into supporting this plan, you know, we'll make an effort to do that.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Councilman?
Yes, ma'am. I've been approached about an idea from a group in regards to streetscaping or beautification of Gray Street. It's no secret the group, once I say what they've done, they were instrumental in revitalization of Main Street and parts of Church. It's historic Smithfield. And the reason they approached me was that we know we have approximately a 2-year lull between the repaving of Grace. And it's no secret that the appearance of Main and Church are very different on Grace, although, you know, we have no businesses. But the point was made that it is a very picturesque street. It's on the walking tour. We really promote it. People are always stopping and taking pictures of these houses. And they were under the impression that we may have some time on our hands where we can actually make this into something, not just a paved street and leave the sidewalks like they are. And I said, look, I know I live on Gray Street. I don't want to be, I'm not going to drive this ship. You know, you tell me what you want, and I'll bring it to council to see if there's any interest whatsoever. So essentially, what was recommended or asked was to have like a crash study of maybe that group, citizens, town, tourism, and VDOT. Because as we know, we're going to be under the mercy of VDOT on what they can and can't do, or will and won't do, as well as when we get into, you know, landscaping, that would be more along our lines, because quite honestly, they could care less if it's a brick sidewalk or if it's just a regular old stamped concrete sidewalk. But you know, I told them I would be the messenger just to see if there's any interest whatsoever. You know, there may be none. You guys may think that it's a great idea. So I'm opening it up for some dialogue. I do know that VDOT is going to start on some curb and guttering soon. Don't know when that's supposed to start, but in order for them, you know, I briefly talked to Mayor Bowman about it earlier, and he said, well, maybe the cart's before the horse. I don't know if I agree with that, because if we get some discussions or we can see what they have planned, we may be able to work with them on this.
You know, what I said, just to be clarifying, is as far as the cart before the horse, is dealing specifically with construction and rehab. If I did not in any way intend to imply or infer that the discussion to be had would be putting the cart before the horse. I was concerned, if you recall, I said specifically, I'm not a road construction engineer, so I don't know exactly how this thing would fall into patterns are concerned. So as far as what goes first, what gets done first, you go and you do your paving, you do that, then you do your streetscape, and you got to tear up some of this, that, and the other. That's what I meant by that.
I understand.
There's always an opportunity for dialogue, and that's concerned. So just want to clarify.
Yeah. No, perfectly understand.
In your discussion with them, what kind of streetscapes do they want outside of what VDOT is planning?
They didn't mention anything. Honestly, they didn't.
A couple of years ago, we were approached by one of the gentlemen that owns a business on that street and asked us to look into undergrounding utilities, things of that nature.
On Gray Street?
Yes, ma'am. So
Oh,
we
okay.
we did. We reached out, and when we got the number back from Verizon, those conversations stopped because it's in the millions of dollars. And so that was really, as far as undergrounding utilities, they're willing to do it as long as somebody comes up with the money to pay for it. And, you know, maybe this group will be able to help identify some funds that can get some of that done. But that was the biggest hurdle, was the expense of undergrounding utilities, which, you know, would go a long way. But maybe there's some other things that aren't that significant that we can do.
Ms. Brooks, what is the ask?
to ask you if there's interest from the town level of bringing somebody in to have a discussion to see whether we can really make Gray Street pretty, streetscaped.
Well, I think we've got, is that in Kimley Horn's expertise, since we've got them on?
Yeah, I don't think it hurts to pursue it and to see, I mean, we can talk and see what those asks are.
So is it something that the Historic Smithfield wants to run with? I mean, Historic Smithfield renovated Main Street for all intents and purposes. They did fundraisers and they said, we want these sidewalks, we want these granites. Are they just saying, hey, town, Gray Street could be prettier, will you guys make it prettier? Or is they saying, hey, we'd like to assist in this and we'd like to be involved in this project and we'd like to help raise money for this project? That's what I mean by what is this
You
ask?
hit it on the head. They're ready to take it on.
They want to take it on. Okay. I don't think that anybody on council, if you take any street or any neighborhood in this community and says, we want to make our street look better and we want to help raise money to do it, I don't think this council would have any objection to any street doing that. So I'm trying to understand it. Do they want us to spearhead this, or are they going to bring us some ideas?
They'll bring it to us. They wanted me. Meanwhile, if you want to suggest to council a crash study on the need for a streetscape project on Grace and suggest that the town invite the organization that planned the Main Street work with Gray Street residents to develop a workable plan, blah, 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 blah. So I'm bringing it to you. And I can go back and say, there's some interest. What are we talking about? And I don't know what level. I don't know if that's between them and town manager, or whether we need them to present us with something on what their ideas are first. But we have to start somewhere.
I think that'd be a good idea. That way we've all, at the same time, at the same table, have clarification as to as Councilman Paxson, what is the real ask?
Yeah.
Let's come to, we're certainly willing to listen as Councilman Paxson, at least I am.
I am.
Okay.
If everybody's, I'll work with you and we'll get with them and try to come up with something, get them to a point where they're ready to come to council and present something.
Okay.
We do that.
I'll take it from here.
Okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I have one additional thing for public buildings, if I could, Ms. Butler. Our town crosswalks from time to time need to be painted. They're stamped asphalt, and that red brick color has come off, particularly up here at Luda Drive. I notice that one every time I come to council, forget about it, but there's probably several in that general vicinity. Can we take a look at that? We approved that once before. It's good for about 5 or 6 years before the paint gets worn off.
And since you brought that up, I think the painting at the intersection of John Rolfe Drive and Battery Park, I don't know who's responsible. I think you told me before that's ours to grab or whatever. That's really gotten blurred, hard to see in the rain time, nighttime, or whatever. Now that you brought it up, not to belabor it, but thank you.
Any other topics? If not, I'm gonna close public buildings and welfare.
Okay, the last thing I've got, an additional item not listed, but on council's Monday, July 1st agenda, nominating committee recommendation to the circuit court to appoint to fill the expiring term of Gene Monroe on the Board of Zoning Appeals. I had some discussion with Councilman Collins. Do y'all think you need, I mean, the person, Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, they serve until they're replaced, correct?
They have to be, reappointed every 5 years. If you don't want to reappoint them, you still have to, if you want to reappoint them, you still have to make a nomination because the court has to enter in order.
Sure, okay, I just didn't know in the state level, if you appointed, you serve at the pleasure until you reappoint, unless you're.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
five-year terms.
All right, well, when is that
So is
five-year
there-
term?
Exactly.
Is that,
June 30th.
It
And
is-
we do have an organizational meeting for the BZA every July, so we would need someone for
I
election.
tried.
No, we're planning to be, we should be okay.
Okay,
with that.
good
And
deal.
if not, we'll let it.
Good deal.
We should be okay.
All right. That's all I have on the council committee agenda. Anything else to come before committees today?